Welcome into this week's Coach's Corner, and with us now is a guy the season is about to begin in a big way. Baseball coach Grant Middlebrooks. Good to have you along.
Appreciate you for having us.
So you're here in your first year, so how's things going so far?
It's definitely been a transition being a head coach, but it's been good. Ponca City's been great to me and my family so far. We just had our new baby girl in November, and just a lot of new stuff going on with us. And so it's been really good, from the kids being good kids all the way up from teaching and support from that admin. It's been really well for us so far.
A little bit about your background. I actually kind of laughed a little bit because you went to school at Community Christian.
I did.
And you're a little younger than me, but one of the best football games I ever played was a game against Community Christian. So, and I actually took a couple of big hits that game too. So I don't know if that would have been somebody you knew, but that's really cool. I'm from Gans.
Gans.
Yeah,
So we played, I remember we played Gans. It was my freshman year. We had a kid named Brian Owen was our running back. We called him the Stormin' Mormon. He was one of the only Mormon kids we had. And so we're up at halftime, but he gets knocked out of the game, and y'all came back and 46 pointers. Right? And we had one dude and hand the ball off to Brian Owen, and he just ran you over, but y'all had a big old middle linebacker country boy.
That was, Jake Knapp was that kid's name. My brother was the quarterback of that team.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
So good. I had some good memories.
Yeah.
When I was playing, they continued that series on with my brother. So a little 8-man football.
8-man football is where it's at. I stopped playing after my freshman year, so we went back and forth. And so one of my favorite things, I was playing 11-man football, and we went and played at Kansas City School for some reason, 11-man football. They had a couple big old 350-pound tight ends, or defensive ends, and I was a 150-pound soaking-wet freshman. Didn't turn out very well for me, so they said, you just go ahead and sit on the bench. Just kick it. So I focused on basketball and baseball after my freshman year.
Well, and it worked out working out with baseball. You've had a good coaching career. Just for some people, once again, the background, kind of what led you here to Ponca City?
I'm blessed because I played at Mid-America Christian University for 4 years. I got lucky enough that Jeff Brewer, who's now an assistant at Owasso, took me on at Norman High. So my first year with him, I was a head freshman coach, but I was also the pitching coach for the varsity and worked in with him. I was with him for 5 years. We were there for 2 years. Really good 2 years. We had kind of inherited the program. When Coach Brewer got there, they hadn't won more than 13 games in about 5-6 years. And so we got there, and our last year there we won 20 games, and it was time for us to go. So we went to Chickasha, and kind of a similar rebuilding type deal where we had some really good kids. COVID hit first year.
Yeah.
So we won 2 games that year, but we went through, and something about us is that we never shied away from playing people. So our first 2 games were Newcastle, then we played Tuttle, and then we went to the Owasso Festival and played Coweta and Owasso and some teams that could go. So that first little bit, but I feel like we would have had a pretty good year that year. But our last 2, we won 24 back-to-back years, and once again, it's time to go. Coach Brewer, this summer, we were trying to figure out what we were going to do, and he ends up at Owasso as an assistant coach. And he goes, all right, it's time for you to spread your wings. And I said, all right, where are we going? I was like, okay. And so me and my wife had a conversation. Ponca City had been open, and I'm 28 at this time. I'm like, I'm a young pup. This is a 6A program. And so went ahead and gave it a shot, and they said, all right, I guess you're the guy. I'm like, all right, cool deal.
Well, that's awesome to hear. Good to have you here as well. And I think one thing to talk about, you've been under some guys as a coach, as you mentioned, but as a coach, you always have your own way. So there's core principles that you try to instill. What are some of those core principles you have for this program?
Very similar to my head guy. So we're very much Christ first. And for me, Christ saved my life. I wouldn't be here in this spot if it wasn't for Christ. And so we want to develop young men, and it's Christ first. So we have our 3 foundational principles: Christ, compete, and character. And we instill that in our kids, try to every day. We're not just building baseball players, we're building men. And so when we send them on to college, and hopefully more guys playing college baseball than not, they're prepared and ready to take on this world for what it is, because it's a nasty world right now. You don't know what's going to happen and how it's going to be. So how do we handle those circumstances? But, we really try to stay structured, organized. But, nowadays kids are so different than whenever we played.
Oh, yeah. And they were saying they were different when we played.
Absolutely.
We were different at one time, too.
Absolutely. And so, you've just got to continue to adapt your coaching style. And so, when I played, there's no personality. You just go play and shut your mouth. Well, we want our kids to have a little bit of that moxie and personality, but at the same time, we do have to be controlled. And so that's kind of where I am a little bit more laid back from that standpoint of my old guys, is to where, and even him still talk every day.
Yeah.
I contact him like, hey, what do you think about today? Like today we were supposed to start our first scrimmage of the year, and I'm like, hey, it's supposed to be pretty cold. What would you do in this situation? So he gives me the feedback and helps me along my way and guides me.
All right.
So
yeah, and you've been a chance to see this team. They're going to get on the field, but at this point, where do you think this team's maybe improved from last season?
Man, I just think it's confidence. We've got Jackson Testa, Grant Harmon's coming back from a torn UCL, and he's back fully healthy. Corey Mrazis. One thing that we've really focused on is confidence, and we're just going to outwork people. I'm not the smartest dude in the room, and from a baseball standpoint, I know there's a lot more people that are more intelligent than me. But we're going to grind. We're going to outwork people, and we're going to get as many reps in as we can. And so from that standpoint, I feel like we're really prepared for this season. And our seniors have really stepped up in that leadership role. The old saying is player-led over coach-led. Player-led can be great. Coach-led, you'll be good. And so player-led, I've got four Jacob Leonard, Blake Daly. I've got a really good senior group of guys that are really holding kids accountable. And then, of course, you return an arm like Brody Wicker, who can get on the bump at any point in time, and you have a chance to win that game. Lefty Aiden Howard. So I think we're deeper, but also I think that this crew right now is just really confident. But, so that's kind of how I feel on that.
It is your first season, and, you talked about building the program. When you're setting your goals for your first season, what's some reasonable expectations that you have for this team?
So play hard every day. Compete every day. We don't quit until the last pitch is thrown. We've got to be real honest with the fact that we've got Owasso, Jinx, Broken Arrow, Sand Springs, all on ours, and Owasso and Jinx, defending state champions.
A lot of history in those programs,
and they're just big time programs at that level. And then Sand Springs won 30 games last year. They're returning everybody. But I told our kids, we want to shoot high, but also, if we can finish 4th or 5th in district, it's an unbelievable year. And so that put us at this, handle your business against the teams you're supposed to handle. But my main thing for our guys is compete your butt off. Good things happen. Play your baseball at the right time, coming into regionals, and maybe get into a regional final, and who knows what can happen.
Yeah.
And so that's honestly how I feel. But I feel like we could have a solid year where they won 10 games last year. And if we can improve on that and just continue to grow our kids and get them, hey, winning's expected, right? You got to learn how to win.
Right.
And so before I say, well, we're going to win 20-plus games, well, let's slow the horses. Let's make sure we win games and learn how to win it the right way.
Yep. And officially you guys are getting going with some scrimmages, things like that. But when does, the official season start for you guys?
March 2nd. March 2nd, we're at Moore High School, and they're going to be a pretty good program. We got Moore High, so our first home game is March 4th against Eben North, who bringing in some dudes that can go. It'll be a fun game for us to be a good measuring stick. Moore High will be a measuring stick. Eben North will be a measuring stick just to see where we stand. And so Edmond North will be our first home game on that Saturday, March 4th. So in a couple of weeks, it's hard and fast.
And it's always fun this time of year, early. Baseball, traditionally you think Major League's played in the summer because you don't have to dodge the weather nearly as much. As a high school coach, you're always dodging raindrops, lightning, and then when you do get to play, usually you never know how that wind's going to be blowing.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's just like today, February 16th, this first scrimmage of the year, and it's 22-degree wind chill. So I had to contact Coach Terry Bennett at Guthrie, and we had just had a conversation. He's like, yeah, we're not going to get it in today. So, all right, because it's 25-mile-per-hour winds out of the north. Let's be smart. It's going to be 60 tomorrow. We got Putnam City Original tomorrow coming to us, and Saturday we got 12 scrimmages in 2 weeks. So we'll be okay, losing one. And so it's just, you never know. Oklahoma weather. One day it's 90, the next day it's 35, and you just move on.
No doubt about it. Well, good to have you along this program. Looking forward to seeing what you can accomplish out there, and can't wait to see those boys get at it out there on the diamond.
We're excited. Appreciate you.
All right, Coach Grant Middlebrooks, and that is going to do it for this week's Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff, until next time, saying thanks for watching, and go Cats.